Friday finished. Until the sun came out again, it was threatening to rain when I was waiting to go for a run. This is my emotional support bat. Yeah, so I went for a really long run because I got a surprise day off. Finally let myself sleep in again after a tired couple of days. The weather was in and out, but still like the temperature was high. So yeah, just put in a good 15 or 16K in my Ultra Taurian 4s. Still have not run in my Endorphin Pros because like I said, I'm saving that and I'm kind of using it as motivation to keep running and to get my fitness back before I do that. Still something to look forward to, and like running is a great thing, but it's extremely in the present. It's very hard to look forward to it, and with no races coming up, that thing to look forward to is also taken away. What I was thinking about on the run, kind of related to that, was just about, emotional regulation and the effort to feel good. This morning, before the run, because like in this day and age, maybe more so than the past, we don't know, although if you look up the default mode network of the brain, it does explain our negativity bias a lot, but particularly in this day and age, if you don't do something to be in a good mood, you will be in a bad mood. Like, these are trying times. The despair will descend on you from the heavens. And particularly if you're spending time on the internet. What I was thinking this morning was that we do, or I do, and I'm assuming, my feelings are not that unique from the vast majority of people's. I think we overestimate what it will take to soothe us and how long it will take. And we assume that physiological things are important signifiers. But if you think about how terror and excitement feel the same, like the joy of being on a roller coaster is physiologically not different whatsoever than just the terror of being, in a car that's about to crash. Right? It's the context. It's what your mind does with it. So what I do now is I keep a tab open on my computer, just showing a smile compilation. And it is just like, just nice, pleasant people smiling and chatting with no audio, but it's just like just smiling, it's like being told jokes and things like that. I find myself like, if I read, some shitty comments from shitty people, I would just, and like my heart would start beating a bit faster and everything. I start feeling the physical tension because your brain doesn't know that this thing you're scanning as an attack isn't a physical threat. It's a mental emotional threat, but it's not a physical threat. But your body still wants to respond anyways. Like the threat response is the same regardless. Anyone who's ever been yelled at over the phone knows that. But I would just flip over to this and just scan myself for how quickly I could be soothed, and just sort of imagine that the elevated heart rate and everything were just signs of excitement from just hanging out with people. I'm reaching to get my coffee. And it worked. I also think that I'm really, again, I don't know more so or less so than other people, but I notice about myself that I'm quite the mimic. I realized this at work because people would come in the door and sanitize their hands and be doing this. I would inadvertently, as I was walking towards them again and like getting aligned with them, I would end up doing it too. I would just kind of just this motion as I was talking, and it makes me chuckle. But I realized as well, like if I just watch a video of people smiling, I will find myself smiling. And it's not because I'm like delighted or happy, it's just a mirror response. It's just an attempt at bonding. It's just a primitive circuitry, right? And how this all kind of all ties into running is that I went for a run after, and I always think about how running makes me happy. There was one day, and I made a video about this at the time, but I'll mention it again because no one remembers these videos. These aren't a concise history. I went for a run when I was in a really bad mood, and I was like, I am just going to run until I feel better. And I ran like 23 kilometers, and I was exhausted and dehydrated and like in a lot of pain. But I could pinpoint exactly where I was when my internal alarm stopped going off. Because like the worst thing about being in a terrible mood is you keep reminding yourself to be in a terrible mood. You reinforce it over and over and over again. And I would do that on the run. And at one point I was like, I felt myself transition past it, like as if I literally ran through it and came out the other side into the sunlight. I was like, there's the point where it broke. And I could feel that today as well. The reason that running is so great for your mental health is that it just takes away so much of the big stuff that you can't do anything about anyways. Like, we're so zoomed out that we're thinking about ICU numbers and transmission rates provincially and nationally and continentally, and it's like it can be so daunting, and we're thinking about like yesterday before bed, just in a casual scan of the internet, I saw 3 Asian hate crimes because one person with essentially good intentions had retweeted video of these hate crimes to say like, hey, aren't these hate crimes bad? Hashtag stop Asian hate. And then, as much as I completely agree, and yes, we need to be aware of these things and quote unquote doing something about them, if I were 15 minutes from trying to go to sleep, there is no natural way I would be witnessing people attacking senior citizens with hammers. Like, one, we just gotta be careful about what we pump into our brains and how much. Because now my brain thinks that there is just threats everywhere and there's a world of despair. But if you go out for a run, you will encounter sunshine and the sound of birds and smiling people. And every other runner that you see, even if you don't acknowledge each other, even though we often do, I always give the shock, it's still good to know that they're out there and that I'm out there. And yeah, I had a talk with a customer once about like just the foundation. She said the foundation of her mental health is running. I couldn't agree more. I think it absolutely is. And at the same time, I'm, for whatever time, third, maybe fourth, I'm trying to start a meditation habit as well. But yeah, just everything to try and feel better, because you will never feel better by default. You will never think your way into happiness. It will always be an action. It will always be choices that you make and tasks that you do. And I'll leave it at that.